Romeo and Juliet, everything you need to know about Act 1, Scene 4. So the whole idea behind this act is, remember, Romeo's been boo-hooing because he loves Rosalind and she doesn't have the time of day for him. So all of his friends have got together and they're going to go crash a party. Now the unfortunate part of that is it's the Capulet party and they are Montagues, and so they're not going to really just be able to get in there. So what they're going to do is they're going to have to put on masks, and they're going to try to crash that way by hiding their identity. Now the issue with that, of course, is what they would have to do is usually if you're crashing a party, you'd have to kind of make a little speech, a little presentation, and suck up to the guests a little bit in order for them to let you in. So this is where we're picking up, and Romeo has his posse with him. Romeo, Mercutio, Benvolio with 5 or 6 other maskers and torchbearers. Romeo, what? Shall this speech be spoke for our excuse, or shall we on without an apology? Are we going to make the little presentation, or are we just going to crash the party? Benvolio, the date is out of such prolixity. We'll have no Cupid hoodwink with the scarf bearing a Tartar's painted bow of laugh, scaring the ladies like a crow-keeper, nor no without book prologue, faintly spoke after the prompter for our interests. But let them measure us by what they will, we'll measure them a measure and be gone. So he gets into this whole little speech of, hey, doing that whole speech thing is out of date. It's no longer necessary. We're not going to kind of come in with a little, presentation and all of that and, try to scare the ladies with our fierceness or whatever. But what we'll do is we'll just do a little dance, and hopefully that's what a measure is. They can measure us by our measure. Well, a measure is a little dance. Romeo says, give me a torch. I'm not for this ambling. Being but heavy, I will bear the light. So he's a downer. Romeo's like, I'm not going to go do a little dance. I'll be one of the light holders. I'll carry a torch and I'll just be boo-hooing next to you. Mercutio, nay, gentle Romeo, we must have you dance. Romeo, not I, believe me. You have dancing shoes with nimble soles. I have a soul of lead, so stakes me to the ground I cannot move. He is really down in the dumps here about Rosalind. They can be all light-footed, but his soul is so heavy within him that I can't even dance. It's like holding me to the ground. Mercutio, you are a lover. Borrow Cupid's rings and soar with them above a common bound. All right? If you're so in love, that means, you got Cupid's wings on you, so you might as well just let them take you for flight. Romeo, I am too sore in pierced with his shaft to soar with his light feathers, and so bound I cannot bound a pitch above dull woe. Under love's heavy burden do I sink. So I don't have the wings of Cupid. I got his arrow stuck in my heart, and I'm bound up, all tied up with love, and so I'm not going to be able to fly tonight, boys. Mercutio, and to sink in it, should you burden love, too great oppression for a tender thing. In other words, you're spoiling love here, pal. Romeo, is love a tender thing? It is too rough, too rude, too boisterous, and it pricks like a thorn. Yeah, love is not tender to me. It's basically kicking my butt all over the place. Mercutio, if love be rough with you, be rough with love. Prick love for pricking, and you beat love down. Give me a case to put my visage in, a visor for a visor. What care I, what curious eye doth quote deformities? Here are the beetle brows shall blush for me. In other words, I'm going to be rowdy tonight, and you should be too. Go out carousing. If love has been kicking your butt, kick it back. So he's talking about putting a visage means kind of a face. So he's going to put a face on his face, all right? And that way he can kind of party down and do what he wants. Benvolio, come, knock him in her, and no sooner in but every man betake him to his legs. So, in other words, knock, the door opens, we're going to dance our little dance. Romeo, a torch for me, let wantons light of heart tickle the senseless rushes with their heels. For I am proverbed with a grandsire phrase, I'll be a candle holder and look on. The game was ne'er so fair, and I am done. So more boo-hooing. I just can't get into the mood because I'm so sad. Tut, done's the mouth, the constable's own word. If thou art done, we'll draw thee from the mire. Now, this is kind of weird because you have to know the background, right? Done's the mouse is a saying of the time that means just chill, keep still. And then he gets into this, if thou art done. This was a Christmas game where you would pull a horse, a pretend horse, out of pretend mud. And so they're like, we're going to pull you out of the mud. Of save your reverence, he thinks He was apologizing. Love, wherein thou stickest up to the ears. Come, we burn daylight. Ho! In other words, we're just going to kind of bring you along with us, but we're wasting time here moping. So let's get going. Romeo, nay, that's not so. In other words, it's not daylight, it's nighttime. Mercutio, I mean, sir, in delay. We waste our lights in vain. Light lights by day. Take our good meaning, for our judgment sits 5 times in that ear, once in our 5 wits. In other words, don't be, totally picking on my words. You know what I meant. Romeo, and we mean well in going to this mask, but 'tis no wit to go. In other words, it's not wise to go to this. Do we mean to do, to not cause trouble? Why, may one ask? Why you asking this? I dreamt a dream tonight. Uh-oh. So we get into this whole mystical Shakespeare thing where a lot of times, he talks about how the stars and fate are all involved with things. And so Romeo sharing his dream. Mercutio, and so did I. Well, what was yours? That dreamers often lie. In other words, whatever you're worried about with your dream is going to be a bunch of malarkey. In bed asleep, while they do dream things true. Yeah, so he needed a play on words there, right? That dreamers often lie. Yeah, they lie in bed, not lie with their mouth, right? Mercutio then says, oh, I then see Queen Mab hath been with you. Queen Mab is this character in dreams that visits you in dreams. And he gets into this whole weird thing about this fairy queen that has an origin in Celtic mythology, but he gets really weird into this dream, and he starts out all kind of nice. That Queen Mab is kind of messing with people in their dreams, and then he gets kind of freaky deaky about it, where it's like she becomes creepy and messes with people in an evil way. So we'll just kind of go through this speech. Oh, then I see Queen Mab have been with you. She is the fairy's midwife, and she comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman. So she's a tiny little fairy that comes into your dreams. On the drawn with a little team of atomies over men's noses as they lay asleep. So it's this little fairy that when you're sleeping, she kind of brings her little chariot by and messes with your head. Her chariot is an empty hazelnut made by the joiner squirrel or old grub. Time out of mind, the fairy's coachmakers. Her wagon spokes made of long spinner's legs. The cover of the wings of grasshoppers, her traces of the smallest spider web. He's describing the coach that she drives, right? Her collars of the moonshine's watery beams, her whip of cricket's bone, the lash of film, her wagoner a small gray-coated gnat, not half so big as a little round worm, pricked from the lazy finger of a maid. Ew. They took a worm out of someone's finger. And in this state she gallops night by night. She has her little carriage, and every night she makes the rounds through lovers' brains when they dream of love, over courtiers' knees that dream of curtsies straight. So whatever the person and whatever they're dreaming about, she visits their dreams. Or lawyers' fingers who straight dream on fees, over ladies' lips who straight dream on kisses dream, which off the angry Mab, so now she's becoming kind of creepy, with blisters plagues, because their breath with sweetmeat tainted are. She gallops over a courtier's nose, and then dreams he of smelling out a suit, and sometimes comes she with a tithe pig's tail, tickling a parson's nose as he lies asleep. So she's, first of all, she gives these, ladies blisters, cold sores, because the smell of their breath upsets her. Over a courtier's nose, they start dreaming of, something they're desperate for, a suit, a suitor. Sometimes she comes with a tithe pig's tail over a parson. A parson would want tithe or money from his congregation. Then dreams he of another benefice, someone that comes and basically gives him money. Sometimes she driveth over a soldier's neck, and then dreams he of cutting foreign throats, of breeches, emboscados, Spanish blades, of healths 5 fathoms deeps, and then anon drum in his ear, at which he starts and wakes, and being thus frightened swears a prayer or two. So he's dreaming, he dreams of battle, and sleeps again. This is that very Mab that plaits the manes of horses in the night, and bakes the elf locks in foul sluttish hairs, tangles up horse manes and such, which once untangled such misfortune bodes. This the hag, when maids lie on their backs, that presses them and learns them first to bear, making them women of good carriage. This is he. So he's really, starting to describe, right, kind of like harsh things when he's talking here about these women that are learning to go through childbirth, and also having to have men on top of them for, a little hanky-panky, all right? And then, of course, after that, have a child. Romeo, peace, Mercutio, peace. Thou talkst of nothing. In other words, you're making all this up. This is weird. Mercutio says, true, I talk of dreams, which are the children of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy, which is as thin of substance as the air, and more inconstant than the wind, who woos even now the frozen bosom of the north, and being angered, puffs away from thence, turning his face to the dew-dropping south. In other words, yes, I'm just, talking about, what your brain is basically doing, Romeo, which is worrying about dreams, and you wake up and they fly away, right? Benvolio, this wind you talk of blows us from ourselves. Supper is done and we shall come too late. We've wasted time talking about this nonsense. We are late for the party. Romeo, I fear too early for my mind misgives. Some consequence yet hanging in the stars shall bitterly begin his fearful date with this night's revels, and expire the term of a despised life closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. So he's kind of creeped out. He has a bad omen or a bad feeling about the night, and where Benvolio says that we've come too late, Romeo's like, actually, we're too early because I have this bad feeling about tonight. But he that hath the steerage of my course direct my suit. In other words, fate's in control. On, lusty gentlemen. Benvolio, strike drum. Let's go, brothers. All right. So hopefully that clears some stuff up. I cover as much as I can and as much as I want to pull out of that in the short time that we had. But that's the basic idea of Act 1, Scene 4. Hope that helps some.